a 5-year-old. My son Finn was 5 at the time, and you know, he struck me as absolutely capable of thinking and feeling everything. It would just sometimes take him a little while to explain what he meant, but 5-year-olds are engaging in abstract thought, and they're interested in everything. They have this wide-ranging curiosity, they have intense emotions, and yet they're very pragmatic about moving on to the next thing. You know, they cry and scream, and then they ask, what's for lunch? So I thought this was an ideal narrator for a tale of both darkness and joy. The reason I set it in America is, first of all, the original case that had suggested it to me was the Fritzl case in Austria. So I thought, well, that's a very European story of an underground, hidden basement area in a small town. I thought, to distance it from that material, I set it in America, in a back garden, in a shed. And then after I'd written my novel, J.C. Dugard was discovered in America in a shed. So sometimes you just can't get away from real cases, even if they weren't your trigger. But also, I liked, somehow when I was planning my captor character, who's known only as Old Nick, he just struck me as American, you know. I don't mean to insult the nation. I just mean every country has their own variety of psychopath. I mean, up in Canada, we had an isolated pig farmer in the country who was keeping, killed multiple women on his isolated farm, right? That's a kind of a rural Canadian crime. But this guy goes to his job every day, comes home, maybe stops by the hardware store on the way home, does some renovations to his workshop in his back garden, and there are big hedges, and the neighbours never inquire what he's doing in his workshop. And he just struck me as an American. And also, I knew in the second half of the book, when Ma and Jack are on the outside, I knew they would be coming up against the media at its most intrusive. And even though that media is absolutely global now, it was America that invented that particular form of probing. I mean, I would say Britain has a very long tradition of extremely satirical political journalism, say, but the probing interview in which the interviewer is pseudo-sympathetic but actually is like digging into your heart with a spoon, I think it happened in the early days of the film industry in Hollywood, so that just struck me as a suitable place to set this story. And this one